My name is Councilmember Daniel Dromm,
Yeah.
and I represent the 25th Council District in Jackson Heights, Corona, Elmhurst, Rego Park, Woodside, in East Elmhurst.
Okay.
Sure, there's a place called Espresso 77 that actually has a art gallery, and they change it, if not every month, maybe every 6 weeks or so. It's on 77th Street and
Between
37th and 35th, exactly. And it's a very nice little cafe. And I think that's, pretty much in place. One of the things that I've tried to do as council member is in a whole series of events called June in Jackson Heights. And it brings the arts and other things, events that happen in the neighborhood together. So we spend a whole month, and I'll get you a copy of that, of different art activities, almost every single night of the month. So we took an empty storefront and we turned it into an art gallery last year, and we hope to do the same thing again this year, because that's like wasted space. Since the space is there, nobody's renting it, and so we had a very nice turnout for that. Over 2,000 people showed up for that art space.
Where is that? Where's
Well,
the
it
location?
was last year. Well, actually, it was 2 years ago. Last year we didn't get an art. Last year we didn't get a space, but the first year we did, and that was on like 86th and 37th Avenue, I think. And it was an empty storefront. This year we have some more empty storefronts. Sometimes the landlords are willing to give it to us because we're looking for something for free, and then the artists exhibit for free also. But we've done other things, like we put the piano for Make Music in New York City, and that was in front of the post office.
Wait, is it the decorated pianos?
Yes.
Oh, my friend hunted down, I think, like 40 of the 60 something.
Yeah, and we have one here. It was really nice.
Yeah, that's really cool.
People played it. Matter of fact, when marriage equality passed last year, we had a piano right there, and somebody played "Here Comes the Bride" as we announced the passage
Awesome.
of the
That's cool.
of the law. So it was really nice having that there. And then we did a whole series of storefronts. If you go to Marum Pharmacy and maybe one or two other places along 37th Avenue, the remnants of that are there. So many of the stores participated. They had local artists put the art in the window, and then we had a map, and people were able to follow the map and go from store to store to store to see the art that was exhibited in those windows. So because we don't have an art center or a cultural institution in this district, my district is very small geographically, but it's very dense, and that's where you get the population. But we don't have a cultural institution or a very limited amount of exhibit space. That's why you don't see it as readily or it's as well known. But there are a lot of artists and arts that exist in Jackson Heights in particular. They have an annual art contest, and they exhibit every year on the fence of Pier 69. It's very nice. On any Saturday afternoon, you could probably have 2 or 3 artists who are exhibiting on the fence as well. There's one guy who's there. His name is Bob. He's there all the time. And they're very active. They also offer arts classes to kids in the neighborhood. And if you go out here in the hallway, one of the women who's on the board of directors, you see that she made a very nice portrait of me. And it's right in the front door when you come in, yeah. So. Yes, absolutely. Like the woman who did that, her name was Despina. What was her last name?
Gaios?
Yeah, a Greek.
Oh,
And
really?
then we have a lot of Latinos. There used to be a Latino art center up on Northern Boulevard and about 85th Street. I think that's gone. It used to be called Olente, and it was it's what is now Pio Pio Chicken.
I don't think that's. Well, that's Northern Boulevard, right? Okay.
Yeah.
In
But
defense.
there's the big Pio Pio restaurant, and then there's the little takeout,
Yeah.
and right behind that little takeout is where the art space was. But I think Pio Pio also took that like for their kitchen. Yeah.
That chicken is so good. And the
Oh,
rice,
it's
they
delicious,
put the
yeah.
sausage right in the rice, and it's the yellow rice. Right.
It's great.
It's so good. Anyway, and then
Those are one of the original co-ops in the neighborhood. and they're beautiful. So the towers has apartments that are the size of ranch homes, 3-4 bedrooms, including maids' quarters, thousands of square feet in terms of the size of the apartment, and they've remained quite beautiful. The other interesting thing is that they have gardens. Jackson Heights is really known as the Garden City. And the reason for that is that many of the co-ops, when they were first created, have a garden within the 4 walls of the co-op. So my building where I live in 78th, and the other side is 77th, and in the center, in between the 2 buildings, we have a garden in there. Some of them are in need of repair because Jackson Heights went through some rough times, but many of them are in very, very good shape. So the Chateau, I'm trying to think of the names of the other ones across the street from me, and I'm blanking on it.
Is there one on 74th and between 74th and 73rd, where there's like a bunch of buildings, and then in the middle there's like a staircase and it's like a waterfall kind of thing?
Those are, but I think those are homes, private homes,
Oh, okay.
but they're attached.
Oh.
And yes, I mean that was part of the original design of
Okay.
Jackson Heights as well. Jackson Heights used to have a golf course, and it was beautiful in the very, very early days. And Jackson Heights was
Where was that located?
like between 78th Street and about 75th Street, maybe even a little further down and up closer to Northern Boulevard.
Oh, wow.
And from those
Now it's all
houses that you just
buildings, yeah.
mentioned, well, many of them didn't exist, and then when the golf course closed down, that's when they built the tall buildings. But those homes that you just mentioned, you could see the golf course from those homes. So that was in the 1930s and
Yeah,
40s.
Okay.
So that was the towers with the gardens
Yes.
and the
So I'm not exactly sure the name of the type of architecture that was used, but there is a book, I don't know if I have a copy of it here, that mentions exactly who the architects were and what type of architecture it is. I can get that. Yeah, it's a garden in the city, and this gives you an idea of the gardens that are in between the buildings, you know, and how they were originally designed. Now,
Can't
co-ops
believe this.
was not a concept familiar in the United States until it came here in Jackson Heights. And then they brought this concept to America, you know, that you would have cooperative living, people would be on the board and share the expenses and, you know, buy into shares and then have these beautiful expansive gardens in between. And this is the neighborhood where it all started,
And
right
when
here.
when would you say like it changed? Like when immigrants started like coming?
It changed, well,
Hello, Sean Coffey.
Sorry.
I mean, there were hard times in Jackson Heights. Some of it was connected to the Colombian drug trade on
Oh.
Roosevelt Avenue, but you know, I don't necessarily connect it to like I don't want to be saying that like because the immigrants came, the
Yeah.
neighborhood went
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I believe the opposite. I believe actually the immigrant communities have saved Jackson Heights, because if you look around Jackson Heights on 37th Avenue, yes, there are some storefronts that are closing now, but primarily this neighborhood has not been as badly affected by the recent downturn in the economy as some other areas of the city. And I really believe that's because we have immigrant entrepreneurs here who are investing in the community. They know what the immigrant people in the community like and want, and that's what's kept this neighborhood going. Imagine if you had, you know, a lot of stores, a lot of vacant storefronts here on 37th Road.
That's crazy. That's not
There's
even
some-
Jackson Heights.
It would be terrible, you know, it would really be a bad thing for the neighborhood. So Jackson Heights has had its ups and its downs, it's kind of coming back, it's a bit of a renaissance now, so